Hello and welcome back. In today's video I want to revisit a machine that I've made a video on almost 5 years ago now. The video is in dire need of a remake, as at the time I've actually used my then new and fancy Toshiba camcorder that was able to record at 1080i, and I've decided I wanted to shoot the entire video with it, pointing the camera at the monitor. So it ended up being kind of blurry here and there, as it was my first video I made with this camera. In hindsight, I should have probably practiced with a different subject first, but oh well, here I am remaking this video. So this machine is a Dell Optiplex 740 Enhanced. I bought this machine back in 2019 for about $5. It was listed as not booting, but I just had to reseat the memory and then it started working again. The machine has an AM2 motherboard, which sports an AMD Athlon 5400B running at 2.8 GHz, and it has 1 MB of L2 cache. The machine originally came with 2 gigs of RAM. I've upgraded it to 4 with two 2 GB sticks. And the machine came with an NVIDIA GeForce GT210 that I have upgraded to an Ati Radeon HD4830 with 512 MB of VRAM. The reason I put this specific card in there is because it sort of fit the system perfectly, being from around the same year, and I wasn't really using it for anything anyways, so it would make for a perfect Windows XP video card, as it's fairly powerful for XP games, and it was utterly useless for anything else. I've used ATI Catalyst version 9.3, as it seems to have better compatibility with older games, and every game except for 1 or 2 was played at 1280 by 1024, as that's the resolution of my monitor. This is a 64-bit processor, but obviously we're only going to be using 32-bit Windows XP. You could even install Windows 10 on it. In fact, I have done that before, but I see it as kind of pointless. For Windows 10 I would like a slightly faster CPU, however when I tried upgrading the CPU to anything newer like a unsupported AM2 Plus or even AM3 CPU, unfortunately I didn't get anywhere. The CPU would work, but the machine would always be in single channel mode when it comes to memory, and I feel like that would be slower than if we just used dual channel with a slower CPU. And of course I would always get the annoying unsupported CPU message when booting the system. So there are a lot of games I could test on this machine, so many games to try out, but I don't want this video to take forever, so just gonna check out a couple of my favorites. Gonna start out with some heavy hitters from 2004 and then we'll go back in time to some older ones. First off we have Far Cry. This is actually a very demanding game for the time. In fact, even this machine, at the full highest settings available in the game, isn't capable of running the game at a solid 60 FPS. It does dip below 60 FPS on a couple occasions. However, it's still fully playable. I think this is probably the most demanding game in our list of games that we're going to try today.
See that? More of this? I got more of this. Eat this. Okay?
Next up we have Quake 4. This is actually a 2005 game, but it's based on the Doom 3 engine. Famously, Doom 3 and Quake 4 will only run well on ultra settings if you have a 512 MB video card or higher. Everything is maxed out, except we only have 4x anti-aliasing. I've turned on VSync because it seemed like we weren't really getting anywhere above 60 FPS anyway, so I thought it would be a more smooth experience.
Warning, incoming attack.
All right, you maggots, haul ass or die. Go, go, go! We're clear!
Holy shit! This is some ride, eh, buddy? Who's the new guy?
Matthew Kane, one certified badass.
A man like Kane could get us killed.
Shut the hell up, Strauss.
Gentlemen, good news in the war against the Strogg. A lone Marine battled through enemy lines and killed the Strogg's leader, the McRae. He's also disabled the Strogg planetary defense guns, so it's a ground pounder's war from here on out. HQ's ordered us to assist clearing out a landing zone for a mobile command center.
There are a couple of slowdowns here and there, but it's actually quite playable.
Well, shit, you're not dead. Lucky for you, Lieutenant Voss was in a hurry to move out. Rhodes wanted to bury you. The LT left orders that everyone's supposed to hook up with the squad ASAP. Let's go through those doors. You'll run into them eventually.
There, he's stabilized for the moment.
HQ.
Kane, right?
HQ.
My name's Anderson.
Final squad.
Here, let me heal you. Get hurt. Come on. I'll heal you up.
Now for arguably the heaviest hitter game of 2004, Half-Life 2.
Rise and shine, Mr. Freeman. Rise and shine. Not that I wish to imply you have been sleeping on the job. No one is more deserving of a rest, and all the effort in the world would have gone to waste until... well, let's just say your hour has come again. The right man in the wrong place can make all the difference in the world. So wake up, Mr. Freeman. Wake up and smell the ashes.
Now this is not actually the original 2004 release, this is the Steam version, so it's based on the Orange Box edition of Half-Life 2, so it's a little bit more demanding, but we're still getting over 100 FPS, so super playable and looks great to this day. Again, it's 1280 by 1024, all maxed out. One weird quirk about this machine is that there's no way to manually enable AHCI support for the hard drive, so the only way to enable AHCI is to create a RAID configuration. Even if it only has one hard drive, it seems to work fine. You have to create a RAID configuration in the NVIDIA RAID controller.
You have chosen or been chosen to relocate to one of our finest remaining urban centers.
It's all I have left.
I thought so much of City 17
All right, I'm
that
moving.
I
Jeez.
elected to establish
Were you the only
my
ones on that train?
administration here in the citadel so thoughtfully provided by
Overwatch
our
stopped our train in the woods and
I've
took
been
my
proud
husband
to
for
call
questioning.
City 17
They said
my
he'd be
home.
on the next train.
And so,
I'm
whether
not
you are
sure
here
when
to
that was.
stay or
They're
passing
being nice
through
though,
on your way to
letting me
parts
wait for him.
Concern. Of course, your question touches on one of the basic biological issues, with all its assessment of hopes and fears for the future of the species. Simple fact has far-reaching implications. It requires radical rethinking and revision of our genetic imperatives. It also requires planning and forethought that run in direct opposition to our neural precepts. I find it helpful at times like these to remind myself that our true enemy is instinct. Instinct was our mother when we were an infant species. Instinct coddled us, kept us safe,
This is how it always starts. First the building, then the whole block. They have no reason to come to our place. Don't worry, they'll find one. I thought you were Colin.
He's one of us.
Told you they'd be coming for us next.
Now for one of my favorite 2004 shooters, Painkiller, it's a very underrated game. It looks amazing, it's up there with the best of the best in 2004. And it's a really fun game. It's also fairly demanding for the time, but it actually runs super well here, over 100 FPS constantly, so Now let's go back a little further in time to 2002.
What's your name?
Here's Morrowind. I don't think I have to introduce this game, everyone knows what this is. And while it runs okay, performance is not the best. That's just how it goes with Todd Howard games.
Quiet. Here comes the guard. This is where you get off. Come with me. Get yourself up on deck and let's keep this as civil as possible.
This is where they want you. Head down to the dock and it'll show you to the census office.
You finally arrived, but our records don't show from where.
I suppose it is my duty to help those less fortunate than myself.
Now let's try something even older. This one came out before Windows XP was even out, yet it works great. This is Need for Speed 4, also known as High Stakes or Road Challenge, depending on your region. This is a solid 60 FPS experience. This game was sort of demanding in its time, but our machine is way overkill for this game, so there you go. This game is running at 1024 by 768 because it doesn't seem to support 1280 by 1024.
Final lap.
Now for arguably a much better game. This is actually my favorite Need for Speed game, and also probably one of the best racing games on the PC in my opinion. Need for Speed Porsche 2000, also known as Unleashed. It's only got Porsches, and it did lock down the Porsche license for years, which kind of sucks. But it's an awesome game. It's got very nice and realistic driving physics and awesome graphics. This one is running in 1280 by 1024, and the frame rate is awesome. Always over 60 FPS. This is the DirectX 7 mode, and this game tends to slow down even on Pentium 4 machines if there's a lot of cars on the screen, but even here with 7 opponents it's running great. I've also tried the game in N-Glide mode, which came with one of the patches for this game, but it seems like it's a little bit too much for our machine and we're going down to around 30 FPS, so yeah, I would just recommend staying with the DX7 mode. Let's check out another old racing game. This is Test Drive 6. And as you can see, even though this game is really made for Windows 9X, it's running great on XP. Now for a game that's not only old but also super demanding. So this is 1999's Midtown Madness, and the system requirements for this game are madness. They claim this will run on almost anything, but to actually get a smooth 60 FPS you need a lot of horsepower. And it seems like this machine just has enough power to run this at 60 FPS. I'm not joking, even a Pentium 4 will actually struggle to hit 60 FPS in a game like this. Of course this is running all maxed out in 1280 by 1024.
For the finish! The new Ford Mustang, reborn to run!
Place your hands on your head.
The only thing that's going to be even more demanding is the second game in the series, Midtown Madness 2. Even this machine is going to struggle to hit 60 FPS all the time. There's going to be a lot of slowdown. This is all maxed out, and it's mainly the draw distance that's causing this, because the game has to render the entire city all at once. This game has no magic tricks like LLOD or anything like that. It's just presenting everything all at once, and the only way you can improve the frame rate is by toying around with the draw distance settings. But I decided to play it all maxed out. It's still perfectly playable, but you can definitely see that it's not a solid 60 FPS. Something that's definitely going to be running at a smooth 60 FPS is actually Star Wars Phantom Menace. I actually really like this game. This is a very stupid game, but it's kind of fun. It's really jank. There's a cheat with which you can enable 60 FPS. By default it's only 30 FPS. One thing that's not going to be perfect is this card doesn't support table fog. So levels that would normally display fog, like Coruscant, are not going to display properly. Other than that, it's perfectly fine.
Enjoy the race. Are you?
Everything looks so disgusting.
You're a no-good killer.
I won't help a murderer like you.
Last but not least, another racing game from around 2000 called McRae Rally 2. This one is all maxed out, however, there's one setting that you can't max out on almost any video card because you're gonna get terrible frame rates. That's the environment map setting should not be set to cubic because there's probably some kind of glitch with the game when it just puts insane load on the GPU when you turn that on and causes frame drops. So I would just recommend leaving it on bump. So it's time to wrap up this video. This machine is awesome, especially for the price I obtained it for. Plus I was able to use up some of my leftover parts to complete it, like the video card and such. It's a Dell machine, so it's going to be pretty reliable. Very well built case, magnesium side panels, lots of USB ports. I'm not a huge fan of the expansion card mounting bracket, where instead of screws we're just using like a plastic thing that locks them down, but it works well enough. But if I need to replace the power supply, it has to be a BTX power supply. That's the only thing that's going to fit in this case. Thankfully I have a couple replacements of that as well. And it's also been a nice experience revisiting Windows XP. Sometimes Windows 98 can be very, very flaky and you could have all kinds of weird issues that would not happen on a more reliable operating system. XP just works and it still is able to play a lot of old games. So if you're not really going for a DOS compatible machine or just not going for the nostalgia factor of Windows 9X, it might be worth it to just do a Windows XP PC because it's still able to play a lot of the old games that were made for Windows 98 without any issues. In fact, sometimes maybe even less issues than 98. Plus it's capable of running on more modern hardware than Windows 98. This is not the fastest Windows XP machine, but it's certainly one of the fastest that you can build. And let's not forget that with Windows XP, it's actually super easy to install old games from GOG, for example. While Steam doesn't work anymore, you can still pop a GOG installer onto Windows XP, start it up, and then install basically any old game, no problem. So definitely XP has a lot of convenience factor compared to 98, and it's still a very capable retro operating system. Thank you for watching, I hope you've enjoyed this video, and I'll see you in the next one. If you want to catch me live when I'm making these videos, or at least recording the gameplay for these videos, then check out my Twitch page, link in the description.